For meeting to order. Beth, will you call roll, please?
Barry,
Here.
Corey,
Here.
Bo,
Here.
David,
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We will continue. We'll start with item B, Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, new business, item number 1, emergency declaration. What are the wishes of the board?
I would make a motion to approve the local state of emergency declaration for Williams County, North Dakota wildfires and extraordinarily high winds and authorize the chairman to sign.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote, please.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, so let's move on to the status report. Mike, if you want to.
Good afternoon,
Lead us off.
Commissioners. Mike Smith, Williams County Emergency Management. I have Carter Schroeder, Williams County Emergency Management. Matt Clark with the Williams County, the Williston Fire Department, Sheriff Verlin Quandy, and Kevin Simmons, Chief Deputy. Okay. So what you have in front of you is a short brief, an incident summary of the fires that occurred on Saturday and Sunday, October 5th and 6th. Just to set the tone here, we'll talk about, there were 2 separate fires, as you see on the screen here. You have the East Fire, which started at approximately about a half a mile north of 73rd Street Northwest on 122nd Avenue Northwest and burned for about 20 miles. That fire started at 3 p.m. The second fire started at Highway 85 and 75th Street North. It started at 3:45. It also burned approximately 20 miles. The estimated burn area from the Civil Air Patrol this morning was 90,000 acres. That's for both fires. Weather conditions that day, as we all know, the winds were from the northwest, sustained at 40, gusting to 73. We had moderate temperatures and very low humidity, 30% or less. And after these fires started, those humidity values dropped significantly. So the response to this fire, we had 31 emergency response agencies, both from North Dakota and Montana. We had the Williams County Highway Department here helping us with their road blades, fuel trucks, and any other thing that they might be able to help us with. We had farmers on tractors with disking up ground to help create fire breaks. We had citizens, bringing water, food, every other thing you can imagine to support the firefighters. And we had private industry there with large water tankers with water. They were also bringing food, water. Horizon Resources was helping fuel the fire trucks and their pumps. During this fire, we had 8 reported injuries, with unfortunately 2 fatalities. And of those 8 injuries, we had 1 Tioga firefighter that was transported to Minot Hospital. He was in critical condition, but his status is updated this morning. He's doing much better. I spoke with his wife on the phone right before this meeting. Damages. We have a link on the county website that we're allowing farmers, and as we talk, we have some Civil Air Patrol photos here of the damage throughout the county. Very extensive. We've lost everything from homesteads to farm implements to fence lines for miles, cattle, other livestock, and lots of infrastructure. The North Dakota Highway Patrol was here Sunday with their airplane that has FLIR, or forward-looking infrared, to be able to assist the firefighters in finding any hot spots that were hidden and trying to guide the firefighters to that location so they could put those fires out to stop any additional spread that we might have had that day. Yesterday, the North Dakota Civil Air Patrol came with their aircraft, and they have the ability to map the burn area. They flew the perimeter, so they could get a size of the fire, and the images that you're looking for are the images, or looking at, are the images that Civil Air Patrol provided. All of that data is being shared with ArcGIS to help with better mapping and locating the damaged areas and maybe locating farmsteads. They can pinpoint all these pictures in the GIS mapping. Okay, so that's our damages, and we're still receiving, we have a link set up on the website that area residents can report to us to report their damage. This morning we had 21 do that, and I've had a couple of phone calls, and I guided them to that page, so they're going to add that. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. Lindsay's going to provide me with a spreadsheet, of those damages as we go along. Every morning at 9 o'clock, I've been meeting with the state of North Dakota, the governor's office, and state DES, and giving an update on our progress and what's going on in our county with our damages and things like that. So as far as utilities, Montrell Williams update, the initial power outages for this event was 1,759 services affected. Now that is a total amount. I think in the beginning it was about 500 services for residents, and then the rest were industrial. As of 4:45 yesterday, and also this morning, we're down one. 314 residents remain without power. They had an estimate that at this point in time, their estimated loss is $4,877,000, $877,400. That's just with Montrell Williams Electric alone. That's not including, our losses, which are probably going to be, if not in the in hundreds of thousands, if not in millions of dollars when this is over. And also they have 110 linemen in the county right now repairing all these outages, replacing poles. I don't have any pictures, but if you drive down Highway 2, you can see the top of the pole, the bottom of the pole, and the middle of the pole's gone. So lots of that stuff. We do have, at this time, the fire is about 99% out. We can't say it's 100% out because we still have things like the rig mats in Tioga. They're on Highway 2 that are burning. We also have hot spots and tree belt, shelter belts and things like that. So the fire department's continuing to monitor that. So the briefing this morning with the state of North Dakota and the National Weather Service, there could be another fire danger coming on Thursday, and we'll keep all the fire guys, up to date on that, because we're going to have a cold front come through. We'll have wind shifts. We'll have, higher winds and lower humidities as well. So the recovery efforts, myself, Carter, we'll be working with the state and local agencies to monitor what's coming in and try to get with Lindsay and make sure we're putting out the message. We also have the other departments here in the county. Help me. The agricultural, NDSU extension and things like that. She's here. She'll be working with locals. We'll start talking about debris management and carcass removal and things like that. And that's probably being handled more through the ag department than we would be involved in. We are getting all the reports in from NDIC on all the oil well pads that were burned, and everybody's tracking any kind of hazmat situations that we have. When these fires started, Carter Schroeder, he went up and helped out with the fire there at Highway 85, north of the 13-mile corner. We activated the EOC. I had Chief Clark with me, and a few firefighters from Williston Fire Department working in the EOC, tracking and coordinating resources, getting the stuff that the firefighters needed. This is, this has never occurred. A fire of this size or magnitude's never occurred in the county. But all the agencies did a great job. This morning, talking to the North Dakota Forestry Service, there was about 120 to 130 acres burned in the state of North Dakota on Saturday. So, pretty devastating. They still have 2 big fires going on in McKenzie County.
You meant 120 to 130,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say?
130 didn't sound like that
Okay,
many.
120 to 130,000 acres. Sorry.
I did too, but I just
I
wanted to
should've
make
said
sure
120K.
everybody else if there's people
Yeah.
listening, I want to make sure they understood.
Yeah,
This
thank you.
is a huge number.
All right. Any questions from you guys?
Just one quick question. Obviously, the first response that anybody has when they see these fires is what's the path or what's in danger of being engulfed in flames as this fire moves. Is there a mechanism or any kind of system, or do you already have something like that? I apologize if I didn't know, but is there a way for us to have any kind of predictive, like, hey, if you're in this area, you need to be,
Yes.
considering evacuating, or what kind of public-facing tools could we have to help with people trying to
And yes,
figure out if they need to be concerned?
that's been discussed. There, we will make improvements in that in the future with using the county. Citizens can sign up for our Alert Williams County app, and we will work on improving those notifications.
Well,
Fire was-
and this wasn't a criticism, this was no criticism, believe me. I'm just wondering if there's any other additional tools that can offload some of the pressure from people calling you saying, hey, I live in Trenton, I'm wondering if need to be worried about this fire, and, they're nowhere near where the fire was.
Yes, sir. We were trying to, there was definitely rumors out there going on as in any event that, they were evacuating Tioga, they were evacuating Ray. We were in contact directly with the boots on the ground there in Ray and in Tioga. And, that's the world we live in the social media world now. So we were trying to do our best. This thing was moving at 60 miles an hour, so.
Yeah, and again, this is no criticism. I'm just thinking about, like, even right now in Florida, you have, the trajectory of this hurricane that's coming in, and it's the cone of possibility or whatever they call it. I'm just curious if we could have something like that public facing that anybody could just go on and see, here's the path, and, I don't know what kind of, I'm trying to think of it from your angle, like, instead of having 5,000 people calling you, take some of that load of the administrative load off by just having something that people could look at. But this is just,
Steve, I think, and I totally understand what you're asking. I think one of the big things that you got to be cognizant of is a slight change in wind changes the whole operation. I was talking to one of the assistant chiefs from Ray yesterday when we were up in Tioga, and I said, so, it's been years since I've been on a grass fire, but I said, what was it like? And he said, normally you try to say, okay, I'm going to run a mile up and I'm going to get ahead of this thing. He said you'd get a mile up and the fire was already passed. So they were thinking 5 miles ahead, and that was the tough part. So,
Yeah.
I think there's things that can probably be done, but, I'll finish this.
no, this is,
And we were constantly searching for, getting that information from the field and getting where the forward motion of the fire was at. And it was, like he said, it was moving
so fast,
so fast.
And I get that. I apologize for bringing this up in a public meeting, but I'm just trying to ask the question, I guess, but go ahead.
I do have one question, and I'm not sure who could answer it, but where are we at with the fire marshal report? Does anybody know if that's been done? I know there's some guys waiting for crop insurance, and they're wondering where they can get a hold of it.
Okay, so on Sunday, we did try to do origin things just through the sheriff's office alone. We did find those locations, you know, the 85th, Highway 85 and the 75th location, as well as the 122nd and 73rd. We still had power lines down, and workers were continuing to work on those. We weren't really prepared to go into those yards at the time. So we had what we thought were the origins, causation, some form of electrical. Not entirely sure if it was blown down lines at that point or not. We did meet with the state fire marshal as well as one of the investigators, which is a BCI agent, and they also have a ATF agent as well that's an investigator. And in discussions with those individuals through Monday, our points, which I think you can clearly see on the maps here currently, and then some of the photos as well, are the ones from the Highway Patrol plane as well as the Civil Air Patrol. Those locations were looked at by the fire investigators. The poles were not blown down from what can be found. It appears the 122nd and 73rd location was likely a tree that had fallen into the lines, resulting into the fire then. The one at the 85, Highway 85 and 75th or County 12 appears to be some form of arcing from that pole that caused the fire to originate. The pole was not blown down, to my understanding. Why the arcing occurred, they don't know at this time, but I know that the ATF agent that is a trained fire investigator is working, I think, with Montreal Williams directly in a collaborative way. So hopefully we'll get some better information as we continue to move forward.
Great, thank you. I think I recall seeing a Montreal Williams came out on Facebook and talked about galloping lions, which when they start bouncing, then they were hit, maybe could have been hit.
Yeah, which could be the instance with the 85 County 12 and that particular location. We won't know that quite yet. Hopefully, as they look through more of that information and see, working, like I said, in collaboration with Montreal Williams, we can maybe define that a little better.
Is there any way we can find a way to maybe have Lindsay put out a time frame on when these folks will be able to get that report? Because I know there's a lot of them worried about getting to the crop insurance people and checking on it.
Yeah, we'll just stay in contact with her office. I was informed by at least the BCI agent that when the reports are available, they will make sure they get to us directly. And then working with emergency management and with Lindsay, we'll make sure that that information is going to be as timely as we can make it.
No, totally understand, totally understand. Only other thing I have, I just want to publicly say thank you to all the first responders and you guys. I see Michelle hiding in the back. Dispatch is a very important part of this whole thing, because without dispatch, we know what kind of things can happen. So thank your staff for us. Everybody countywide. I mean, the response was unbelievable. And that goes for the folks that live over there and the ones that were on the fire trucks. Just phenomenal. The only negative I heard from any of the firemen was, man, was there a lot of traffic with people looking around. So if I could say it out loud, if you see a big fire, stay away from it. Let's let these guys do their job and get it put out. So unbelievable, 70-mile-an-hour winds. You got it stopped. You knocked it out of the park. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that speaks for all of us. If anybody else has any comments.
I guess just in my travels yesterday, I was only over there for 4 or 5 hours, but my biggest concern now probably is the emotional aftermath for a lot of these folks. So I stopped with a few of my farm neighbors and friends, but what they're dealing with now is obviously they've had the fire, they've lost their stuff, buildings, whatnot, but some of these guys are still euthanizing cattle today. And if you've had to, to me, it's hard to euthanize something in general, but if something that you have personal ties to, that's hard. And especially if you're doing multiples day in, day out. So mental health is kind of a big concern for me if we have any resources for these folks. A couple of the other guys, these are just everyday farmers, but you could tell they just wanted to talk on the phone because they're tired emotionally, and it's hard just seeing it. So that would be my biggest concern. I mean, money and property, it's terrible, but human life is the most important. So how do we help protect that?
So the state has set up the 988 hotline. So if somebody needs to talk or get some help, they can call that line. We'll work with Lindsay to make sure we're getting that, that message out, where to find those resources. Also, we did have a critical incident stress management debriefing, or, it was last night in Ray for all the first responders. There was a good a good outcome in that. So, but we'll make sure the state is working on that. The state is working on Hey hotlines. There's people at the state level working, and like I said, we'll work with Lindsay to get that message out to the public.
Yeah, even if it's just a simple message too from us that says, check on your neighbors, everybody needs to be human and check on their friends and their family and their neighbors and make sure they're doing okay, and just do what we can.
Okay.
Really good message. Anything else? Barry, anything from you?
I'm thinking you got it covered. The only thing I would add is, everybody's curious. They want to take a look around. Keep your cars, keep your vehicles off the prairie trails. We don't need another one, so just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. No dragging chains on trailers, do all the normal safety precaution, but this is just a reminder that people need to be careful, because this is serious. People lost their lives and serious injuries as well, so.
So just, I know other states, power companies, if they see serious weather like this, they do blackouts during that time. I mean, I know that's not ideal, but has Montreal Williams talked or thought of something like that in the future, especially in maybe the next couple months if we have another incident like this?
That would be a question to ask Montreal Williams Electric. I could not answer that question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any updates from any of you that you want to provide us that are specific aside from what we've gotten from Mike?
This is Matt Clark, Fire Chief, City of Williston, for the record. So the only thing I want to say is, applaud to Mike. He's not going to congratulate himself enough, but we had, like I said, probably one of the largest responses in this state's history, and then we covered everything on this northwest corner. He stood up the EOC at, 4 o'clock. Everything was running by 5, and we were all in there coordinating assets and everything, and he took care of us all, so.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for the kind words. Sheriff, anything else?
Just being out, in those areas in the aftermath once the fires had been contained, to see the type of work that everyone did to save as many residents as they could and put themselves in harm's way like they did. We have people from all over coming in to help this community fight fire, and they did an amazing job.
One of the things that one of the farmers told me that was out disking, he said, man, I sure wish we could have done more. Or, there's firefighters that said that. And I said, my gosh, you guys did above and beyond what you possibly could have. So from what I saw yesterday, young kid, him and his wife, started this farm 5 years ago. They lost everything but their house. It's phenomenal that their house didn't burn. It probably should have, but it didn't. So, they still have their family, they still have their home. Everything else is just stuff, but it makes it hard. But I want those guys to realize that they did all they could, and thankfully they did. So.
And from the industrial side, from the oil field side, the fact that we didn't have a spillover event on some of these oil wells, it was a joint effort on everybody's level. But it was amazing to see these well pads fire all the way around them, but nothing on fire on the pad itself. Some of them took some damage, I saw, but overwhelmingly, no major other catastrophes that could have been done. So again, hats off to you all for really knocking the ball out of the park with what you were dealt. Anything else from anybody else? Okay, with that, we will adjourn. 12:25.
Thank you, guys.